chill. Chill, paddle shots, catch your breath.
This is where experience comes into play for Shogun. He knows he was hurt in that first round. This is good work, it's low-risk work. He's putting money in the bank. He's landing some good shots against Tyson Pedro here.
Mexican wave. He didn't do it. You ready? 3, 2, 1. It's horrible. Better move by Shogun to kick him. Ooh. Calf. He might have kicked his calf.
We saw a little wince when he got kicked in the back of the leg.
Great work by the veteran here. Shogun chipping away at the younger fighter.
So Shogun, round 2, Tyson, round 1. It's a tie.
Down the body language of Tyson Pedro. What did you make of it?
He looks fatigued. I think he's surprised that Shogun is as tough as he is, especially after that first round. Looked very unstable on that rear leg.
Shogun looks fresh. He's trying to bounce. Veteran move, letting the young guy know he's fresh. Let's go, toys! Yeah, Shogun's a head, man.
Oh, that's gone.
That's a knee injury.
Oh, no. No.
Taking big shots now.
Oh, yeah. He's defending. He's trying to defend. He's trying to defend. No!
Shogun Hua back in the win column here in Adelaide.
Yeah, I think Tyson Pedro said that it was an ankle injury. There's something going on with his ankle.
Yeah. Definitely something wrong with his legs.
Those calf kicks,
Probably. From the back, when it was kicking him. Yeah. See, don't sleep on these old dogs, man. I mean, Shogun, now he's back in there. You know, he used to be the young gun. Shogun just put everyone at 205 on notice. I guess old dogs do learn new tricks. Curitiba, Brazil, on point.
Declaring the winner by TKO, Mauricio Shogun Hua.
There it is, done and dusted. You can't rush these things. You gotta chill, find the shot, boom. And Shogun did tonight, so muito bom.
Las Vegas-based Syndicate MMA has established itself as one of the most well-respected mixed martial arts gyms in the business. And key to that reputation has been head coach John Wood. With a wealth of experience, he's taken athletes from amateur level to the very top in the UFC. Now, let's find out more about Wood's approach to the fight game in Coach's Corner.
I got into fighting because I always knew, for whatever reason, that I wanted to be a coach. I knew this was a sport I loved from the time I was 12 years old, watched the very first UFC, fell in love with it, knew that I wanted to be part of it.
He's feeling pretty spry right now.
Oh! As a fighter, I never had a solid coach. So I try to make sure that my fighters never have that feeling. I always want to be there for them, to make sure that they know that feeling of security of having me there, because I know how it was when I didn't have somebody, so I know how important a piece that is. It's a crazy bond when you have it with certain fighters. It doesn't happen with everybody, but when you have it, it just clicks and it makes everything really, really awesome. Everybody says they love to fight until it comes to fight week, until it comes to actually doing this. Then everybody hates it. I can count on one hand how many fighters actually really, really love to do this, really love the moment of getting in there and doing it. To be able to keep them in line and just say, hey, this is what we do. This is all normal. All these feelings are normal. All this stuff that you're feeling, these emotions, it's not real, you know?
Everything's gonna be there tonight. You see it coming a mile away.
Don't let your mind play tricks on you, which I think a lot of fighters do. And just having that bond and making sure that you can keep your fighters straight, keep them on path is big, because so many fights are won and lost before the fight ever even happens. The walk out to the cage is probably the most anxiety that I'll feel during the fight. That last little 30 seconds of a walk is that's where I kind of, okay, man, this is real. You know, whew, here we go. But then once they get up, you know, take their gear off and get in there, it's just another day at the office.
Go.
I just zone out. I don't even pay attention to the crowd. I don't pay attention to even where we're at, what we're doing. I just focus on my fighter, guiding them through the fight.
Good, Roxy. Beautiful. Distance is perfect.
And just try to stay really, really relaxed and focused for them, because they will feed off your energy. Even if bad things happen in the fight, even if the fighter's losing, I try to stay away from the negative aspects of don't do this or you're messing up here, and telling the positive effects of what we can do to be better.
Nice, Mike. Good, heavy on top. Watch the triangle. Watch the knees. Pressure, off to the side, Roxy. Turn those bodies, watch those knees.
Or even on the other side of it, when you're up.
On the ground, it stays here.
Making sure that we're being safe, but not laying back too much where the other fighter can step back in and win the fight.
Watch that overhand coming. Hands back to the face. Recover. Lock it down.
When your fighters are doing bad or something bad happens, or they get hurt or they get rocked, you've got to be able to get through to your fighter without panicking them, because sometimes maybe things, they're going bad, but they're not horrible yet. But if you start freaking out, they're gonna feel that and sense that and freak out too. Between rounds, I like to give a good 10, 15 seconds of letting them breathe first, let their mind come down.
Have some water, breathe, slow it down.
If they had a good round, a bad round, you never know where the mindset's at. I've had fighters that had great rounds and thought they had horrible rounds. Very honest with my fighters. I will always let them know if I think they won or lost a round.
You're gonna have to go hard this round, okay? We're probably down 2 rounds here.
Okay, we got that round, or hey, I think we lost that round. We really need it. Let's pick up the pace so we can even it up.
We might be down 2 rounds here, so I need you to go out there and let it out. Last round, Joe. We win this round, we win this round. Keep that fight,
As a coach, when my fighters win, it's probably the most fulfilling feeling that you could possibly have. Knowing that you helped somebody, knowing that you guys did it together. It's awesome. There's really no feeling like it. I absolutely love what I do. There's nothing in the world I think I'd be better suited for or would want to do. I love the people that I get to be with. I get to travel the world and see all kinds of crazy different places and have fun with my friends. Coaching's awesome, man, and there's just nothing I'd rather do.
You're watching UFC Connected. Since first landing in Sydney back in 2010, Australia's become a regular destination for the UFC. In that time, fans have been treated to some of the most exciting moments in UFC history, attracting record-breaking crowds, and now boasts a fan base to rival any in the world. We decided it was time to take a closer look at the rise of MMA in the land down under and find out why it's considered to be a fight nation.
Australia is awesome, unbelievable. These people are so fired up for fights.
Australia's just a sports-mad country. Surfing, cricket, football, rugby. Sport's just a way of life down under. It's a mash-up civilization, a society built on colours and cultures. And you know what? That's the fighting style as well. All action, all aggression, fan-friendly. Australia's become a powerhouse in the sport of MMA. Since debuting in Australia in 2010, the UFC has returned every year to stage an event since.
Live from Acer Arena, Sydney, Australia.
Live from the Gold Coast Convention Centre
Here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia.
That's testament to the quality of the fighters in the country, but also the rabid fan base there as well. Whenever the UFC returns to Australia, it's met with record-breaking numbers and rowdy, passionate fans.
Fighting out of Sydney, Australia, the king of rock and rumble, Elvis Sinosic.
Elvis Sinosic was the first Aussie to compete inside the octagon.
Sinosic trying to get busy early.
Sinosic, he wanted to go down to his backside.
The king of rock and rumble destroyed Jeremy Horn inside 3 minutes.
Oh, stop. Elvis Sinosic, victorious in his UFC debut.
His reward, 4 months later, Sinosic challenged Tito Ortiz for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship.
And there is what Elvis Sinosic would like to do. Tito trying to work some ground and pound here. McCarthy's in. He's going to stop the fight.
And you know what? While his challenge was short-lived, it didn't matter. The Canberra native had set the tone, and he'd opened the doors for future generations of Australian MMA. Anthony Perosh and George Sotiropoulos took full advantage and enjoyed extended stays with the promotion, becoming cult heroes with the growing Aussie fan base. The Octagon finally landed down under in 2010 when Sydney hosted UFC 110.
Nearly 20,000 sold out down under.
It was Sotiropoulos that stole all the headlines with his fight of the night performance against Joe Stevenson.
Domination by George Sotiropoulos. Wow.
The event itself broke all merchandise sales for the UFC, and it was the second fastest ticket sales the UFC had ever had as well.
Listen to that crowd, George. You trained for a long time for this. How's it feel?
As momentum in the region continued to build, Queensland hosted the Ultimate Fighter, the Smashers, in 2012. This was huge. Australia was basically getting its own version of the hit reality TV show, and it couldn't have been any bigger. Australia versus Britain, the old cricket rivalry come back together.
One thing that I know and everybody knows is Brits love to beat Aussies, and Aussies love to beat Brits.
I don't think there is a higher level than representing your country, especially when you're wearing the green and gold. That's when it starts getting real.
In the season finale, Sotiropoulos featured heavily again, facing off against British rival Ross Pearson. But the event belonged to Robert Whittaker.
And this place is deafening the sold-out crowd. Here at the Gold Coast Convention Center, it's Robert Whittaker pouring it on late.
He won the welterweight tournament, he got the UFC contract, and he set himself on a path towards greatness.
The contract's a bonus, but the real joy was just defending my country and making everyone proud.
What's up, Australia? Finally, we are here in Melbourne.
UFC 193 was staged at the Etihad Stadium in Melbourne. Kyle Noak, an often overlooked stalwart of Aussie MMA, picked up the biggest win of his career that night. The place went ballistic.
Look at his finish. It is all
Headlined by Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm, 56,000 rabid Aussies got exactly what they were hoping for. The kick heard around the world.
beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt. Is in trouble. She's hurt. Holly looking to finish. Holly Holm.
Robert Whittaker defeated the fancy Jariah Hall that night as well, and he was fast on his way to becoming a global star. He wasn't just the guy that was getting rolled out for Australian events, he was main carding all over the world, and soon he'd be ranked in the top 5 in the middleweight division. After defeating Derek Brunson and Jacare Souza, a main event slot opened up at UFC 213 against Yoel Romero.
Robert Whittaker, 6-0 in the UFC at 185 pounds. Tonight, at just 26 years old, he'll try to complete the mission and become a UFC champion.
Courtesy of his incredible takedown defense and superior stand-up skills, Robert Whittaker, the perennial underdog, shocked the world again by outpointing the Cuban wrestler. And even when UFC ran it back at UFC 225, the result remained the same.
The undisputed middleweight champion Robert Whittaker makes it 2 straight over Yoel Romero.
Finally, Australia, a nation obsessed with sports and competition, had a UFC champion to call their own. He may have been the first, but he's unlikely to be the last Australian UFC champion. The new wave of Aussie talent is already making its presence felt in the UFC rankings. Featherweight Alexander Volkanovski's legend-killing run has put him on the cusp of a title. Meanwhile, Taito Avasa became the first Indigenous Australian to headline a UFC card in Adelaide, and he's got many more shoey celebrations to come. These standout performers are just a select few from a diverse Aussie roster in the UFC that are becoming fan favourites worldwide.
There's no denying that UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman has earned his nickname the Nigerian Nightmare. Boasting a perfect 10-0 UFC record, the former college wrestler is a disciplined and relentless athlete with an unwavering dedication to the sport he loves. Usman is clearly a fighter with a warrior code.
I fight because of competition. As a competitor and as a man, I think it's in our nature to compete. And I'm able to compete at the highest level. This sport has given me a platform to be able to get whatever message at the time that I'm feeling, to be able to get that out to the masses and inspire people all over the world. Being able to represent Nigeria, it means a lot to me. Coming from Nigeria, there's not a lot of opportunities. Growing up in the village, we had to walk miles to get water. We had to plant food, to harvest it. I was able to experience life at its raw form, its natural form. Migrating to America to where now I get the opportunity to be able to elevate myself, my family, and my country. Why would I not do that? Why would I not give hope and motivate and inspire the other kids growing up? My message is simple. You never know where life is gonna take you.
Give me a sprint. Ooh, okay, we got a front runner.
Before my daughter, I was a hard-nosed, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to train. I was hard on myself, I was hard on my relationships. Now here comes this person. I don't have a choice. I have to make sure that she's fed. I have to make sure that there's money to get her food, there's money to get her clothes, there's money for her to be able to attend school, there's money for her to be able to go to the doctor if she's sick. It's an unconditional love. I'm just this responsibility that's placed on you. So now it takes me out of worrying about me all the time, because now I have someone else that I have to worry about. My child is continuing to grow. Like, time's not waiting for anybody. I am more and more busy. I try to make sure that I don't neglect my duties as a father. I have to make sure that I'm there to raise her, teach her certain things growing up so that she's equipped with the right amount of wisdom to be the best human being that she can be when she's an adult. A fight is very intimate. Very rarely do you get the raw height of emotion you feel in an actual fight. Being able to control the emotions, that's one of the biggest things, because those emotions can make and break you. I'm a big, big fan of music that's able to calm me, that's able to calm and control my emotions. And so when I'm coming out, I'm grooving, I'm dancing. Then I'll get up there and I will say my prayers. And then once I walk through that threshold, it's a transformation from Kamaru Usman to the Nigerian Nightmare. The ref is, are you ready? No, I'm not ready. Are you ready? He says yes, like, I know I'm not ready. My heart's pounding.
You ready? You ready?
And they're like, all right, let's do it. I'm in here now, I gotta fight. The first 2 minutes, that's probably some of the most dangerous times, because both guys are sharp, both guys are tentative, both guys are afraid, both guys are also confident. It's a tug of war of emotions. So being able to control it is very, very important. You know the dangers of it. It's a risk versus reward. Moment of victory. It's almost surreal.
Oh! Moraes is down and out! And that is it.
It's kind of like, oh, is that real? It's a video game. It's the highest of highs. It's almost like a drug, how high you get from that moment. I have trained my butt off. I've ran when most would have